Hello everyone, it's Theme Park Avenue, I'm Eric. My favorite type of amusement park attraction is roller coasters, but another that might be the runner-up is trains. I don't know what it is, but theme park railroads really speak to me, especially recently. I found myself always enjoying the great scenery they offer, the unique theming they have of their own often, and the many other things that make them charming and enjoyable experiences worth riding at every theme park they're available at. In this video, I will rank the 14 railways that I have done. Now to be clear, I have done a few others, and they won't be counted. The things I'm excluding include kiddie rides, really small trains that I couldn't do anymore, Wildlife Express at Animal Kingdom, which I've not done in a very long time, and any transport that doesn't look like a train. I'm also cutting out Hogwarts Express because its experience is just very different from the others, but if you're curious, it would rank very poorly. So give me some leeway on what counts as a train, and let's jump right in. Number 14 is Capital Railways at Six Flags America. This park near Washington, D.C. is closing for good very soon. I went to the park recently, made a full review to help people plan trips there, and to sum up my thoughts on Capital Railways, I forgot it the first time I went here, and there is reason for that. It's mostly just backlot areas with unused props and some forests, and when you're actually going around the parts of the park you can see from the main path, you don't get any unique perspectives of any rides. That's something I always appreciate on a train, and unfortunately, this park's already among the least appealing of any on the list, so there's just nothing noteworthy to see that you can't already see by walking the grounds. Therefore, definite last place. Number 13 is the Storytown train at The Great Escape. This small Six Flags park in Lake George, New York is not my favorite, and this train does have a key flaw. It is the saddest attraction on the list. Mind you, its small size gives it a certain level of charm, and there are some good unique views here. You pass by the roller coaster flashback and travel along a nice creek. There are highlights, but once you hit the main scenes designed for the railroad specifically, it all goes downhill. There are some nice props here and there, but there's also many ugly, unmaintained ponds and overgrown areas nearby abandoned attractions. If you're a fan of abandoned theme parks, you might love this, but I find it kinda disturbing. This middle portion of the ride looks very weird, when it could have been a charming ride through a fairy tale forest. Definitely not my personal favorite. Number 12 is Timbertown Railway at Michigan's Adventure. This is a very short train ride and there's not much substance, but I do still enjoy it. It's mostly just going by forests, kinda like Great Escape, but it feels like nature coexisting with the park rather than reclaiming it. There's not many views of the rides, mainly due to that growth that you see all around, but there's nothing quite as unappealing as what can be seen on the previous rides. Also, this is actually a transportation ride. There's 2 stations, and it gets you from Thunderhawk to Shivering Timbers when the pathway actually can't. So it is a valuable ride, not only for scenery reasons, but also practicality. Number 11 is Holidog Express at Holiday World. This Indiana park is a wonderful one of my personal favorites. And even though the train is just a small loop around some nursery rhyme scenes, it is a very charming and well-kept one. Certainly cared for, and all of the figures around the ride look fresh. You also get some views of the small roller coaster Holidog Express, and you go through a tunnel like the larger trains. The highlight of this ride, though, is the narration. The train conductor tells you about the nursery rhymes as you pass them, mostly just saying the rhymes, but also sometimes acknowledging them as if giving a tour, which they are. This adds an extra level of engagement and charm. It's more than just a chill lap around the track, it's a scenic one where kids can look and point at things and find them. They could say, "Mom, look, it's Jack and the Beanstalk." So it's a perfect ride for kids, and still definitely decent for adults. Number 10 is Ol' 89er Express at Frontier City in Oklahoma. This train is small enough that I hit my head while boarding, but the route is quite grand. On this train, you travel around a great portion of the park. You go up to the biggest rides, and you pass several of the nicest looking areas. You also travel the boundary of the park, right along the highway in fact. And save for a few small props and the close-ups of Diamondback, there's not much to see here you can't already see by walking around, but the route is so expansive that even if you don't see much new stuff, you see a lot. Number 9 is Legoland Express at Legoland Windsor. This one's in the UK, and warning, you will likely get wet. There's a moment where water sprayers are activated from innocent LEGO structures, It's right after the Tiger, so if you see the Tiger Cub and Angry Mom, brace yourself. This is a pretty large train, and it doesn't nearly cover all of the park. Much smaller proportion than Frontier City, in fact. But you get views of boating school from above, and some good new perspectives of the appealing haunted house. You even pass right through the queue for laser raiders, meaning people getting on and off that ride have to wait for you. On top of that, there are dozens if not hundreds of impressive LEGO statues. They all look great, and while there's no rhyme or reason to what they are, they're certainly fun. I am a bit of a sucker for LEGOs, and this train could have been better and drier, but it's still very solid. Number 8 is Minnesota River Valley Railroad at Valleyfair. This Minnesota Parks train ride made the top 8 for 2 reasons. 1. The beginning. The station and beginning of the train ride is next to Corkscrew, a visually stellar looping roller coaster built over water. You go right alongside it, and it's a better ride view than anything I've named so far. 2. Wild Thing. The park's tallest roller coaster is a sight to behold, and you run alongside its track for so long that you're very likely to see the roller coaster in action. I saw it, and I love that. This is otherwise a fairly bare-bones train, sadly not utilizing the park's forested back half, but it's still a joy, with 2 key highlights. Number 7 is the KI and Miami Valley Railroad at Kings Island in Ohio. This train doesn't technically offer much more than the last 2, but what it does have, I love. This train's almost entirely in the forested section of Rivertown, in the back right part of the park. It's home of the incredible Mystic Timbers roller coaster, and also the River Rapids ride Whitewater Canyon. That's more or less all you get to see ride-wise, at least before you approach the water park's Oak City, but you get some great views. I only saw Mystic Timbers running a couple times while on the train, but you get to see a ton of it, and that is fantastic. It's a beautiful roller coaster against that forested backdrop. There are also some pleasant figurines and sets, mainly in that second half. They're not very plentiful, but they are more cohesive than the Legoland ones, so that is a plus. The other key plus, as a transportation ride, is that this provides transport to the water park's Oak City. It's among the most useful trains on this list for that reason, and unlike a certain other train, you don't need a park hopper to get into the water park once you're off the train. Yet, anyway. Number 6 is the Tommy G. Robertson Railroad at Six Flags St. Louis. This train oozes charm, and is a notable step above the previous few. Six Flags St. Louis is built on a forested hill, and while it's far from the prettiest park on its own, it still gives us a very nice train ride. You get incredible views of nearly every major ride. My personal favorites are Mr. Freeze and American Thunder, but even the park's newest coaster, Rookie Racer, is incorporated well, passing directly over the train. Traveling along the River Rapids is also great. This train is pretty long, so you definitely see plenty. You see pretty much the entire park. And my ride was even longer than average because the train had to stop to add more water to power the steam engine, an experience that hit home the authenticity of the experience. This was an opening day attraction for the park, and right now, it's as good as ever. It has great narration, filling you in on not only what the rides are, but also their history. And it's both a proper transportation ride and a scenic one where both halves offer unique but stellar scenery. This train does everything right, and it is certainly exactly what a train ride should be at a theme park. Number 5 is Cedar Point and Lake Erie Railroad at, well, Cedar Point. This Ohio park is toe-to-toe with Kings Island for me in many ways, but for a train ride, it wins. You can't go wrong with Cedar Point's rides in general, and I think the park has some of the most visually jaw-dropping rides you could ever see, aided by the location on a Lake Erie peninsula. On this train ride, you first pass by the 310-foot-tall Millennium Force, right along Cedar Point Drive. Then you can see the lake, you travel around the decently themed and very thrilling Maverick, and you stop at Frontier Town Station, right next to the park's flagship attraction Steel Vengeance. That's the first half, and honestly, the worst half. The other half gets even more fun, offering fewer views of roller coasters, but taking you past Boneville, a charming assortment of sets often with moving parts and dynamic scenes. It's just a blast. But there is more to this half than just Boneville. You travel directly over Cedar Creek, going right next to the mine ride, experiencing views of Rougarou, and once again seeing the glorious Millennium Force. This is the best of ride views and custom sets so far, making it an easy pick for top 5. Number 4 is Dollywood Express at Dollywood in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. This is going to be controversial. Very likely, this is the number 1 for nearly everybody else. Dollywood Express is fairly famous, and in a way, it is the best train. It is the only one on the list that is actually powered by coal. And you'll notice that once you board, because there are bits of coal everywhere. And that is special. This train is like no other on the list, and that is fantastic. There are so many highlights here. Passing by Grist Mill, home of the world-famous cinnamon bread, and getting an awesome view of a very large portion of the park, even from a distance, is beautiful. There is some nice scenery here, but the reason this didn't make top 3 is that a tremendous portion of the train is just going around a lawn. Mind you, on one side of the train there are trees galore, but the other part you're making a big loop around just a big grassy patch. And you don't really get any views of the park at that point, because you're taken so far outside of it. Perhaps that is a special experience for some. It's certainly possible that others love that. I don't. I do still like this portion of the train to a degree because I love train rides in and of themselves. But at the same time, I think this is no better than the Michigan's Adventure Train, and it is a pretty sizable portion of the ride. Regardless, this has some key strengths, the train itself being without a doubt the most interesting to ride. And there are some awesome moments. Still, it's not quite top 3 for me. Number 3 is the Frisco Silver Dollar line at Silver Dollar City in Branson, Missouri. In terms of views, this is not the best train on the list. It's probably below Dollywood actually. You do get good views of Outlaw Run, a roller coaster you can't really see from the main path at all. So the train is worth going on just for that. And you're no doubt in a great forest. But the train is not about that. It's about telling a story, and it does a great job. You pass by several set pieces. Not a ton of action at first, but the train conductor keeps things interesting. Tells you a few things to yell out when you see certain things, and the whole train gets into that. It's fun and interactive. Then the main scene involves 2 train robbers. And this is a lot of fun. The train robbers do actually come by the train after it stops in there for a while, and they will collect tips. That's a ton of fun. Not to mention, the actors are really good, and the script is incredibly funny. When I rode, I genuinely laughed out loud at one of the jokes. The main joke is that the robbers are not necessarily the brightest, they don't understand a lot of figures of speech, and they use that against the protagonist at a certain scene. I won't spoil exactly how it works, but it's just very well set up and really darn funny. That's all there is to this ride. It is mostly stopping and enjoying the scene, not to mention being a part of the scene. It's not as much about seeing the park like other trains, and I do prefer that a little bit, and the top 2 offer that more. But there's no denying the great unique strengths of Silver Dollar City's train, and it definitely deserves a top 3 spot. Number 2 is Serengeti Express at Busch Gardens Tampa in Florida. This is the one I've done the most, no doubt. Busch Gardens Tampa Bay is my home park, and I always make it a point to ride the train. The full loop has everything. Like at Six Flags St. Louis, you see a tremendous amount of rides. The highlight is definitely when you go by Montu, a ride built with terrain in mind that you get up close and personal with. However, while this is all well and good, you see lots of the park, there's good narration, it's a lengthy ride, and it has 3 stations making it a true transportation ride, there is a unique strength of this one, even stronger than that of Silver Dollar City's show. That is the animals. For a great portion of the ride, you are going through the Serengeti Plain. Here, you will see zebras, giraffes, rhinos, wildebeest, and much, much more. This is different from any other train on here. None of the others even have real animals as far as I can recall. To a certain extent, more on that later. And this is special. It's like Kilimanjaro safaris at Animal Kingdom, but with a shorter wait. It's the perfect balance of an amusement park and a zoological park. And only Busch Gardens Tampa could have pulled that off. I absolutely love the Serengeti Express. It's one of my favorite rides in the park, and definitely one of the best theme park railroads I've ever done. But number 1 is the sister park's Busch Gardens Railway. Busch Gardens Williamsburg in Williamsburg, Virginia has quite a few good rides. But if you've seen my top 10 list of that park, you know that this is my number 2 in the whole park. And if you've seen my top 10 parks in the US list, you know that this might be my favorite ride besides a roller coaster in the entire US. That is pretty high praise. And I stand by it because this is the most beautiful ride to ever exist. Okay, that could be an exaggeration, I've not been on every ride, but the natural scenery you get to see, and the way you pass by the rides, is simply unrivaled. You get to see Pantheon, Griffon, Loch Ness Monster, Alpengeist, Invader, Wolf's Revenge now that ride's open. It's all great. And the park's setting, with the Rhine River running through, and the wonderful forest, only accentuates the beauty of the rides. At a certain point, after leaving the Festa Italia station, once you're past Pantheon, you get the single best view I've ever experienced in any theme park. It's the Rhine River, and many of the park's rides along it. The park was designed to look nice, of course, and there are many great ways to see all of these rides. But in my opinion, the best view of these rides is from the Busch Gardens Railway, making it simply a must-do attraction in the park. Mind you, there are some shortcomings here. In my experience, this train is no narration, but that could be because my visits have most recently been in the off-season. Also, as a transportation ride, these stations are not the most strategically placed, but there could be some logistics holding that back. Overall, while those are some valid critiques, they are not that important to me. Simply put, this scenic railroad is one of my favorite rides I've ever done, and without a doubt, my favorite train ride at any theme park. Thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please comment down below your thoughts on theme park trains and what your favorite one is. Subscribe for more theme park videos. I'll see you next time.